What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Do It With Podcast, episode 2. I know, me finally doing an episode 2 to a podcast? What a shocker. Today is going to be kind of a special episode, and I'm just going to kind of forewarn people that didn't maybe watch my rebrand video. We're going to deal a little bit with my spirituality. It's going to be a heavily faith-based kind of episode to a certain extent. But as you've kind of seen from the title, I'm having a baby, and that's really going to be the majority, the bulk of what we're talking about in this episode is that experience from finding out to being where I am now, and that is currently recording this 3 days before we have our baby. This is hopefully coming out on the day that the baby is here and healthy. But that's kind of going to be the experience or the bulk of what this episode is going to be. And then I'll tell some funny stories about it. And we will also talk about kind of my journey as I have taken the next step into manhood, and that is becoming a father, going from a boy to a man. That is kind of the penultimate thing that you're supposed to do as a man, is become a father. I know I say that loosely because you don't have to be a father to be a man, but that is kind of the next step. We've gotten married. Now it's time to buckle up. We're getting into the real adult things. We have a child that we're going to have to take care of. And then a little bit towards the end, we're going to kind of talk about the next couple of weeks. So ideally, I'm having the baby today, which should be a Monday, December 22nd, meaning that I am about to really, and my wife will be having a C-section, meaning that I'm not going to be able to do a lot of content. I hope you guys understand. There still will be some. There will be some streams every so often. Obviously with a baby, who knows how the sleep is going to go. So the streams and all of that stuff will just be up in the air. If you catch one, you catch one. If you have some content, you have some content. But just bear with me until we get back into a normal schedule. But we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that at the end. For now, we're going to talk about kind of where the beginning. Me and my wife, we always said we were trying but not trying. It was, we weren't going to not take the birth control options. We were just like, if we have a baby right now, we have a baby right now. If we do not have a baby, we're totally fine with that. So we weren't actively being like, okay, we have to do all of this and that and this and that. We were just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. Which I think was a great way to kind of go into this mentally. Did we expect it to happen as fast as it did? No. Were we disappointed in the outcome? No. We are very happy with the outcome, and that we actually found out it was around our anniversary, which is May the 5th. We found out. I had come home. I was working at the retirement home still, and I had come home and I had like brushed up against her chest. And one of the things that happens when you get pregnant is your boobs get sensitive. Not mine. My man boobs are just fine. But they get sensitive, and I had brushed up against one. She was like, ooh. And I jokingly was like, did you take a test? Because we had been joking about that. That was kind of one of the things that, she was like, they're going to get sensitive. And I was like, ah, ha, 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 ha. And I said it that day, completely joking, being like, did you take a test? Completely being like, ha, ha, ha. I probably just brushed you a little weird. I was wearing my chef's coat and I always keep my pins. You can't really see it, but right here on my chest, and it's kind of I was like, yeah, nothing really happened. Well, then she like instantly folded. She wanted to keep it from me, to like surprise me once she had a complete positive, and she's like, well, actually, there's a faint line, and we had these, they're, I don't know, about that long, that wide, just like there's a thing on Amazon or Walmart, I don't remember where, but it was just 50 pregnancy test strips. And I go in and I look at it, and, sure enough, there's the faintest of lines. If I have a picture, I will put that up. And it was a very like, okay, I've taken the COVID test a couple of times, and it was kind of like faint like that, where it was like, there's also a thing called an evaporation line on pregnancy tests, and we thought maybe that was what it could be. But she also said that she was pretty confident that it was there before the time limit for the evaporation line. So we're like, okay, we'll take one in the morning. So she waits and takes one in the morning, and sure enough, the line is thicker. It's a lot more clear, like a lot more clear this time than it was yesterday. This is all happening around May time. This is literally like almost a week before my wife's birthday and right around the same weekend as our anniversary. So we take that test, and then start doing a little bit of research into different types of pregnancy tests, and like when like will they show up. And we found one that it said is clear blue, like early detection. It was like, you can tell the earliest with this test. So we go and we get that test. We buy it at Walmart. It's a pack of 2, and we go about our day, and we come home that night. I believe that this is a Friday night here that we're talking about this. And sorry, I'm going to move you back just a hair. Felt like y'all were real close to my face. So we come home that night and we take this test, and what we do is, she pees in a cup, dips the test in the cup, puts the lid back on the test, puts the test back in the box, and we go sit in our living room, and we're kind of sitting there, and she's doing her own thing. She said she was praying, and I'm praying too, and I'm just like, God, if this is what you are ready for me, if this is what you're calling me here for, if this is where you want my life to be, it's like I'm here and I'm ready. And I'll do the best that I can to raise this baby in whatever way that we seem fit for the help to help move forward the kingdom of God. And that's kind of what I'm praying about, and I'm praying, and I'm nervous and I'm anxious because it did happen fast. So my wife, she had an IUD, and we got it taken out, and that all happened a month before we found out that she was pregnant. So it was like really it happened faster than we were expecting it to. We thought that her body would take some time to regulate, but again, like I said, we were happy either way. If we didn't end up getting pregnant, it's totally fine. We have our life to try. And if we did, it's like we're ready. We're okay with that. So I'm sitting there praying. I'm sitting on a little ottoman, and she's sitting in we had a reclining love seat at the time, and I'm sitting on the ottoman, and I'm just holding her hand, and I'm praying, and I'm just like, God, if this is where we're being called, this is where we're being taken, I'm ready. We're going to do the best we can. And all this while, I finally end up, I close out the prayer in Jesus' name. I pray, amen. We and my wife start talking. All this time, my stomach is gurgling. I don't know if it was something I ate. I don't know. My stomach is hurting. I got to take a poop. But I'm like, we have a bidet in our bathroom. We have 2 bathrooms as we're living in a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment. And in our bathroom, we have a bidet, and I've come to love the bidet. So that's also where the test is. So I'm like, I'm going to wait until after the test because I want to use the bathroom at the bidet, but I also don't want to go in there early and her think that, whatever. So we wait. It was like, I don't remember if it was 5 or 10 minutes, but we wait. We go back in there and we pick up the box, and, we just kind of have one little moment like of just us, like, whatever the outcome, we're happy. Well, we at that point were already like, hopefully we're like excited about having a baby. So we would have been a little bit disappointed if it was negative. But we were also like, whatever happens, we're happy. We're okay. We've got each other. We'll try again. Sure enough, we pull the test out, and it's like the most positive test we've had so far. Again, if I have the picture, I'll put it up. And it's just like very much so solid red line. And we both kind of have like a minute of just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, we're actually gonna have a baby, we're gonna have a baby, we're gonna have a baby, and we're both excited. And then my stomach pain comes back, and I just rip my pants and underwear off, and I sit down, and we're both like, ah, and she finally clocks what I'm about to do. And I just let it rip. I'm talking, this is TMI, I'm sorry. I'm talking liquid doo-doo out my booty hole. And it's like we're having such a great moment. And I'm just doing this. And then it starts to smell. And it's like she wants to stay and talk. But it's like, I'm sorry, I'm pooping really. Like, my stomach hurts. So she goes back to the living room, kind of has her moment. I have my moment on the toilet. Finally turn on our bidet, splash my booty hole a little bit, wipe, pat dry, and then I go back out, and we just kind of have our moment of just like, we're having a baby. We film our first video, we do research, because by the time we found, we kind of, she like inputted things because she did have one period before, so we kind of knew around when the conception happened. We actually know the date that it happened. I'm not going to go into detail about all of that, but we know the date. And so because of that, we worked because of the apps, and us knowing certain things, we go into the pregnancy app, and we're learning, and we're like, well, right at this point, it's, I don't know, 8 or 9 weeks, maybe, or no, maybe it was 4 or 5 actually. We do some research, find out that she's the size of a grain of sand, and we film a video, or a grain of salt. And my wife's got a little grain of salt on her hand, and we kind of were like, hey, I kept calling the baby little dude, even though now we know it's a daughter, but little dude, it's what Squirt was called in Nemo. So we kind of have that, and we go. We ended up calling my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, that night, and was just like, hey, we're pregnant. Like, we're very early, not telling anybody, but, we needed to tell somebody. And then we ended up telling my mom as well. We ended up going over to my mom's house before Mother's Day of that year, which I think was on the 11th this year. And we give her like, hey, we don't know if we'll see you for Mother's Day, but here's a card. And she's excited. And then on Mother's Day, I have my grandmother and my great grandmother, who also live in the same town that we do. And we told them on Mother's Day. And then we kind of did the normal thing. We waited to announce it until we got our first ultrasound and heard the heartbeat. But we were excited, and this is our first baby, so we kind of told everybody. Then time just kept ticking by. We went the day after we found out, and we bought the baby's first outfit, and that was kind of a surreal moment to do that. We actually have it. It's a Hawaiian shirt. I love Hawaiian shirts, and it's just a darker blue and white Hawaiian shirt that we thought was really cute, and we were like, that could work for a boy or a girl. Then we go and to the first ultrasound. I guess that's probably the next part that I should talk about. I remember, I actually, if I can find the clip, I will throw that in there too. I filmed myself driving to the doctor. I got off work early, and we drove to the doctor, and I just remember I was scared. Like, I was scared because I have health anxiety, and there are things that my wife had going on that we were kind of like anxious about. So we go to the doctor, and I kind of express in this video, I think, that I'm scared. I'm worried that I didn't say this in the video, but I'm worried that we're not going to hear a heartbeat. And I was like, just the moment that I hear a heartbeat, then I'm okay. That's when I'm like, okay. And, everybody told me, at this point, I think we had told my dad, and he was like, it's not going to hit you. You're going to hear the heartbeat, and it's going to be like, you're going to do whatever. And and I'm like, nah, that's not true. Like, and sure enough, you go into the ultrasound, and there, she's got the little wand on my wife, and we don't see anything yet. And then sure enough, it's like, boom, there's a baby right there. Like, you can't tell it, it doesn't look like a baby yet, it just looks, but it's like, it's a baby. And then she flicked something and you hear the heartbeat, and it's, it's 184 beats a minute is what that first little bit was. And I'm sitting there, like, my wife is kind of right over here to me, and she's laying, and there's a TV, and I'm just sitting there looking at the TV, and like the moment you hear the heartbeat and see it, and it kind of all happens like that, and you don't really process it, and it's just like, I'm gonna do whatever I can for that thing. Like, I don't care. That thing right there, I'm doing. When we didn't know what gender it was at this point. You're just like, I'm gonna do whatever I can. So that happened in around June-ish. Then in July we did our gender reveal. If I have the clips, if I promise you that if you are seeing the clips, it's because I have them, and if you're not, it's because I don't. Like, I'm not just forgetting. If I don't have the clips, I don't have the clips. We put our gender reveal. I swung a golf ball, and we found out it was a girl, and we had already had the name picked out. We had if it was going to be a boy, it was going to be named after my grandfather, Larry Allen Martin. And if it was a girl, it was going to be Samantha K. Martin, with the K being named. My mother-in-law, her name is also K. But for me, my grandmother's name is Kay, and she was a very important woman in my life, and I love her so much. Grandma, if you're watching, I love you. So we kind of already had all of that picked out, and we did the gender reveal, and that was a very surreal experience too. I wanted a boy, not because of any other reason. Of me and my older brother are the oldest of our cousins, by a significant margin. So at least the boy cousins, we do have two girl cousins, three girl cousins that were, they were probably born when I was about 7. But my boy cousins were born, by the time I was 13, 14. So I kind of gotta experience newborn baby boys. So that's kind of, I'm expecting that. I'm not hoping for that, but that's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I know. But we can ask my wife. I said, and I even said it in our gender reveal video. We did like one of them TikToks. It's like, I'm the dad, and I think it's gonna be. I literally said, I'm the dad, and I want a boy, but I know you're gonna be a girl. I didn't say it like that. That was rude. That sounds mean. It was like, maybe I'm hoping for a boy, but I have a feeling you're a girl. And again, I legitimately didn't care, and I'm super excited to be a girl dad. But I kind of always said, it's like, I always wanted a boy, but I always thought that my first was going to be a girl. So we have that experience, and then we go back, and this is where my life and faith kind of starts getting tested a little bit. So I come back. We're on vacation, and that's where we did our gender reveal. We're on our we do a family vacation every 3 years. And I come back, and I wake up the Monday morning to go back to work, and I just kind of have a panic of like, I can't go back into this place. Like this is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to be working. Yada yada yada. I end up quitting that day, and that's kind of where we're kind of like, okay, we're losing insurance, we're losing a steady source of income, but this is where I leaned heavily on God, and God got me back into the frat houses, and God got us a decent insurance and those kind of things. all the while, we're kind of getting into what my wife calls the big pregnant era. We're in our second trimester by this point, and the baby's starting to look a little more like a baby at the ultrasounds. But then we hit a hiccup. My wife's blood pressure started getting high. Now there was no tachycardia, not tachycardia. She has tachycardia. There was no signs of preeclampsia yet. It's just high blood pressure, and she ended up going to her cardiologist because she has pre-existing tachycardia, and she goes to that, and everything seems to be going fine, and they up her on her meds, and then again, things just start going fine, and we're filming these videos, and we're going through life, and everything's good, and we're involved in our community group, and we finally have our baby showers, and everything's just kind of feeling good, and we're steadily going on. And again, I haven't been preparing like I felt like I should. Like, I'm just kind of like, the baby's gonna come, and we're gonna be okay. And I didn't really realize that I actually tried to record this episode a couple of days ago, and that's kind of the whole point. Is just like, realistically, in this past week, with the birth on the horizon, it's been a very much, come Monday, like, you're gonna be a dad. You're gonna have to do things differently, and that's kind of been a very surreal sort of experience to have to go through. Not surreal, maybe that's not the right word, but just kind of as we're going, and I'm leaning a lot on God, and I'm leaning heavily into my faith, and just like, please God, let me know what to do when those times come, because I don't know what to do. I'm so anxious about the C-section because, like I mentioned earlier, I have really bad health anxiety, and that amplifies for other people, like, tremendously, especially for the people I love. That also has to do with some abandonment issues that I have. But it's just been a very surreal experience knowing, like, this is our last kind of week to be just us, just this two of us. Like, I'm always gonna love my daughter, and we're gonna love her, but it's like, I chose my wife, and it's like, it's just a very surreal kind of experience. A lot of conflicting emotions because I'm so excited about my daughter, but I'm also sad about losing the two of us, and it's just been a very surreal thing. And I've been praying a lot about it, and been talking, and just kind of like being alone with my thoughts, and it's nice to say it out loud and to put it out there. And it's just been a very, very odd experience. And while I'm kind of talking on my health anxiety, I want to we're going to include a clip. This is actually a clip. I know I have this clip. I streamed a couple Fridays ago. One of the other reasons the stream schedule has been so up in the air is because of this incident. But I'm gonna include it right here, right now. The me and my wife's ER excursion. So I don't know when this clip is in the next episode of the Do It With podcast, but we're gonna talk about it right here, right now. It's been a smooth going week until Thursday night. The Asher Malorum came out. I'm getting ready to stream it, and my wife, who is 35 weeks pregnant tomorrow, so the other day it was 34 and some change, and she's feeling fine, but she's kind of like, I'm starting to get a headache, and we're like, okay, so we eat dinner, and then we take our showers, and we do our routine, and it's almost 8 o'clock by this point, and I was like, all right, 8 o'clock, we have what we call own thing time, which is just when we'll either be in the same room and I'm playing games and she's on her phone, or I'm in what I call my office, even though over there is the crib that my child will sleep in. We go through, we do our own thing. And a lot of times she's watching TV, but we get out of our showers and we're kind of sitting and just chilling in our bed. And she finally goes, I think my blood pressure's high. So we go get our blood pressure machine. She's already had one experience with it. She has tachycardia, which is abnormally high heart rate, and we don't really know what the issue is. She's had that for as long as I've known her, and before that. So we've already had to be on something for that, which it just so happens to also be a blood pressure medication. Well, we take her blood pressure and it's like crazy high, like 170, and we're like, all right, that's not right. That can't be right. I asked her, I was like, what's the number that, we need to go to the hospital? And she said anything above 160 for the top number and anything above 90 for the bottom number. We're like, okay. And of course, the first time we do it, both of those numbers are where we're not supposed to be. And I'm like, all right, maybe it's the machine. So we waited about 10 minutes and we took it one more time. And I was holding the machine and she was just kind of trying to be calm and collected. And it reads high again. And we're like, all right, let's pack a bag. Let's get ready for going to the hospital. And, it's 8:00 on a Thursday night. We're kind of assuming we're going to be going to the ER to stay. We're thinking we're going to stay overnight and that they're going to monitor her through the night until she can talk to the doctor. Context, she already had an OB appointment Friday, which was yesterday, scheduled. That's like her normal scheduled. We're getting to the point where we're going every week. So she had one scheduled. And it just so happened to happen on Thursday. So we go to the ER. We get back relatively fast. Or actually, we do take the blood pressure one more time. And it's still high. So we took it 3 times at the house. We're like, all right, we're going. We pack a bag. And then we're like, oh God, like we not only did her OB have to deliver early, but one of her best friends had to deliver early because of blood pressure. And I don't know why the OB had to deliver early, but we've just been around a lot of people that have delivered in the 34, 35, 36 week range. So we're kind of like, we're going to the hospital thinking that there is the slightest chance that we're about to have this baby. So we pack a bag to stay for a little bit and we bring some baby clothes and we get in the car, we go to the hospital, we're in the labor and delivery, or they bring us back to labor and delivery, where she's just on a bed and, we're there until almost 1:00 the Friday morning. So we get there at about 8:30 on Thursday, and we don't leave until about 1:00 on Friday, 1 a.m. And then yesterday she took off. I still had to go to work, which I didn't really want to because I wanted to make sure that she was okay. And I wanted to be able to go to the OB appointment. Well, she goes, I go to work. And she ends up going to her OB appointment. The OB's like, everything seems to be okay, but we're gonna play it safe. So they up her heart rate medicine, which also is a blood pressure medicine. Obviously it's a safe one for the baby. And we go. She has to pee. She may not want me telling this, but she has to pee in a jug tomorrow because her next appointment is Monday. They have switched her to 2 times a week, but yesterday I was planning on, I postponed the stream until I knew I was going to be home, and when we knew we were going to be home at 1:30, we're like, okay, the ER at least doesn't think it's like crazy worrisome. Like it's like we gotta we're concerned, but we're not like crazy concerned. So we kind of take our next steps, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stream Friday, when I get off work. Man, I was exhausted. So we came home at 1:30. She really wanted a snack, so we got her a snack. She's pregnant, she's got cravings right now. And she goes in there, and I can only imagine how she's feeling. I'm not going to go into detail about how she's feeling, but I know how she's feeling. She's anxious. She doesn't have health anxiety, but she's very like, she's grateful that at least she went and her blood pressure was high, because they still don't know what caused her tachycardia, why she has it, and sometimes she feels a little insane because of it. So she's feeling validated, but she's also exhausted because she's laying. I didn't sleep in the hospital because I'm in this uncomfy chair, but she's in an uncomfy bed. She's got a blood pressure thing going on every 15 minutes, and they got a monitor wrapped around her belly, to monitor the baby. And she comes home, she eats her snack, and she passes out. And I'm honestly just riding the adrenaline high of being sent home because I really didn't want to have to go to the hospital. I'm the executive chef at the place that I'm working, so I'm concerned about what's happening the next day. It's Friday. It's our, last meal of the week. And I knew that one of my guys, it's me and another guy. I knew that my other guy, shout out Chef Pat, he was coming in late that day. Granted, it was just fried chicken, and I'm not super stressed about it, but I'm thinking those kind of things. Those it's hard, and it sounds not narcissistic. Maybe that's not the word, but it sounds kind of like ew. But you got to, you especially as a leader, you have to also be considering that. My main priority it was always her. I told them the moment I went into the hospital, hey, we're going to the ER. Don't know about tomorrow. We'll keep y'all updated. But those thoughts are going through the back of my mind. So we come home, and I'm just awake and cannot sleep. I finally fall asleep about 4-ish in the morning. I thought about coming and streaming just to talk, but I have bad health anxiety, like to the point that I really don't like to go to the doctor because I'm always worried that they're gonna be like, yeah, you're dying. Like that's something that I've always dealt with. Like I've got things that I probably need to go to like the dentist about or the doctor about, and it's just like so anxious that they're just gonna be like, yeah, that's the big C, and I just spiral and I talk myself out of it, and that amplifies for other people. So I'm sitting here in the ER. My health anxiety, one, is already through the roof because I don't like to be in the ER, and two, my wife is ill. We don't know what's wrong with her, and I've heard all these horror stories about high blood pressure and preeclampsia and all of these things, so I'm like, in my head, I'm already like, I'm gonna have to make the decision of my wife or my daughter. And me and my wife have already had this conversation, and we're sitting in the waiting room for the ER before we went back to the labor and delivery triage room, and I'm like, I just want to clarify, if it comes to it, I'm choosing you. And we kind of have a little laughing moment about it, but my health anxiety amplifies for that, and that's one. I'll give credit to the labor and delivery room nurses and the doctor that was there. They're doing everything right, but I would have loved just a little bit more communication. They took her blood pressure several times. I would have loved to have just known, like, hey, this is what we're waiting for, or hey, we're just trying to see if it downtrends naturally before we give you meds. Like, those are the kind of things that I would have just loved to have heard just for my sanity. But, my wife doesn't have those kind of feelings, and it's her, she's the doctor, so I'm not going to step out and, if I was in the hospital and I was in the bed, I'd be asking those questions because I like to know. But she's not particularly stressed about it. So my main focus there is just keeping her calm, keeping her collected, making sure she's okay. That's kind of all I was focusing on, even though I'm having these thoughts and I'm anxious and I'm worried and I want to know what their next step is. So I'm researching things, and but yeah, they gave her some medicine. They gave I think what happened is she might have missed a dose of her meds, though her meds didn't lower it as much as the OB would have liked. So that's why they upped it. I think what happened is she just missed a dose, and that kind of caused everything to skyrocket a little bit. So we'll see. But right now, going into 35 weeks, going into Monday, we have 2 more Mondays, and then our baby will be. Right now our baby is breech, so we are planning on a C-section, but we're planning that on the December 22nd. It's December 6th right now, so we're both super excited. So the due date is January 11th. And we both kind of were hoping that it would come in December. And we were hoping that she would come after Christmas, but here we are, probably gonna have her before Christmas. But we wanted one Christmas together, like just us. But we've had Christmases just us, but we wanted to like have one more, like just us last Christmas, and that way her first Christmas we could really focus a lot of like love and energy into it. And now it's not soiled or by any means, because it'll be a great Christmas day waking up and having our daughter, and that's going to be fun and lovely. But we're also like, dang, we would have loved to have had one whole year and then really shown up and popped off for your first Christmas. But yeah, and I actually I started recording a thing on Monday, which was the 1st of December. And then I did a little bit of talking in my Tuesday night stream, and then recorded something on Wednesday, and then was going to record something in my Thursday night stream, and then nothing happened. But I was doing like a little vlog that I was going to put out specifically for my daughter, but also for content, some words of wisdom from a father that's coming into fatherhood, from a man that's coming into fatherhood. Sorry. But I didn't do anything yesterday. I was so exhausted, yet I stayed up till almost 12:30. At about 3 o'clock, I was like, I'm going to either go to sleep now and really, really screw up my sleep schedule, or I need to drink. So not drink alcohol, drink like an energy drink. So I I did take a page out of a alcoholic, not an alcoholic, a mixing thing. I took some red Powerade and a sugar-free Red Bull, and I poured it together because I cannot stand the taste of just a regular Red Bull. I like the flavored ones. And mixed it with my fruit punch, Powerade, and drank it, and it never made me go to sleep. It was a fun night. Me and my wife, we ended up, because of the scare on Thursday, and like the realistic I've been saying it jokingly, oh, she'll be here any day now. But the realistic possibility that, like, if we go to the ER again, like if our blood pressure does go like that again, they're probably going to want to try to deliver soon. So we kind of both went into like a little nesting mode. Though you'll notice that this is not so the rest of the podcast is going to be pre-recorded, but I'm knocking 2 birds out with one stone here, doing this live to explain to the live viewers what happened, because I'm trying to be honest. If I say that I'm going to do something, I want to do it. For those of you on YouTube that do follow me, y'all saw the community post that I did the other day. But normally I'll be here with all my cool stuff in the background, but right now where I have completely moved around my streaming setup just to make it a little bit easier for when the baby is here. You can I guess I can actually show you here. Well, oh, hold on. Move the mic for a second. We got my crib and stuff right over there. My crib, our daughter's crib, my daughter's crib, right over there. So, but yeah, no, we're super, super excited about that, and we're ready. We're ready for the baby to come. And hold on. Oh no, my phone's about to fall. Sorry. One day I'll give y'all a show of how precarious my little setup is. So the TV that I have in front of me, the base is not very good, and I have to prop it up because otherwise it looks down this way, which is very weird. But anyway, yeah, we my wife, it's nesting is what it's called, for those of you that know that word. But she was super anxious and stuff about that last night, so we like cleaned out kitchen cabinets and made spots for bottles, and like we completely reorganized this room, and our baby's closet is over there. Completely reorganized that, got diapers and stuff ready, got our hospital bag ready to go. Like I said, we got this room cleaned. Though, like you saw that chair doesn't go there, but this chair that I'm sitting in right now, this is my desk chair. But lately, like when I'm sitting here streaming and playing Minecraft, when I'm playing Minecraft late at night, I don't like to be sitting up like this, though this chair can recline, but that rocks, and I like to rock. That was a very, very interesting day, and that's kind of I guess where we kind of amplified everything. I say in that clip, I believe it's been a minute since I watched it. I say like we were packing and we're getting ready to go to the hospital, and we kind of are just kind of standing in our bedroom, and we're like, do we need to prepare to have this baby? Like, one, the house is not ready. We were kind of, at this point, we are expecting the baby to come on the 29th. We had talked to our doctor. The baby is breached, so we were always planning on a C-section, and we were planning on the 29th. With the 22nd, because we already knew we had blood pressure coming, those were kind of the ideas. We knew she already had high blood pressure, so the 22nd was a backup if her blood pressure spiked. Well, it spiked, and it got dangerously high, like high to a point that I'm surprised they let us go home that night. And like I said, we're like, oh, are we prepared to have this baby come? And that's one of the reasons why the stream schedules and everything has been so up in the air. That's kind of going to lead me right into my next point. I got about 15 minutes to talk about this before we're going to our last OB appointment today, and that's going to be a fun little experience. But that's one of the reasons why the stream schedule has been so up in the air, is because we've been literally getting ready, which y'all can't see, which I'll flip now that I got my phone. This is my daughter's crib. This is literally what I look at every day, where our little rocker, that's her little closet and stuff. And just so you know, little bit of a thing, this is my setup. Yeah, there you are, right there, all of y'all. This is my setup, my book that I'm writing right here, The Phantom of War. Sorry, just doing a little office setup right here. But yeah, no, we've just been, the crib's been built, but we've kind of cleaned this room up to make it a little bit nicer. Like, this has always been my office kind of thing, but we've cleaned it up to make it so it's a bit more open. Y'all did see my little stand. So I have a little magnetic stand holding my phone, and it's also got the lamp that's lighting me. It normally goes over here in this corner, but it's just to make this room a little bit better for half nursery, half office type thing. But yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons the stream schedule has been up in the air, as well as the video content is just not only that, but I've been really in deep writing my book, which what you saw is behind one of my things. There's actually the final draft of my book. I'm going through and correcting grammar and making things flow a little bit better currently. But I do have videos recorded. That's kind of going to lead me perfectly into this next topic. Is I do have videos recorded. I have 2 more cooking videos coming out. Hopefully the next cook. I know I said it was supposed to come out on Thursday the 18th, but again, things happened. Hopefully that video will come out Wednesday. I think that's Christmas. No, I'm not going to put it out on Christmas. It'll be the day after Christmas. Sorry, whatever day that is, the 26th. If you're watching this on the 22nd, it'll be Thursday, the 26th is when that video will come out. This video is coming out, obviously, if you're watching it, it came out on the 22nd, so long as everything goes smoothly. along with we got 2 cooking videos, poppy seed chicken at the frat, and then we got the steak night, me and my wife's last little date night before the baby came. That video is recorded. It just needs to be edited. The poppy seed video just needs a voiceover, as well as I'm hoping to have Act 1 ready for public review. That's kind of where I'm going. That should hopefully happen in January. I don't know how I'm going to do that quite yet, but I'm going to have Act 1 of my book out just for people to read and give feedback and open review it. That should happen hopefully in January. I start back at the frat end of January, so we'll be able to record some more cooking videos. Me and Chef Pat, we want to go live. We were talking about that the other day. I talked to him, and he actually is okay being in some of the videos, and potentially going live with some of the videos. Streams are very up in the air right now. Like really, guys, like I said, I'm about to have a baby. I'm hoping to do a stream tomorrow, which is Saturday, which will have been a couple of days ago. I'm hoping to do one final stream tomorrow. I'm hoping to be able to get it onto YouTube so I can also explain some of that there. And I'm planning on it being a Black Ops 2 campaign stream. That's the goal, along with some zombies and other things. It's also a double XP weekend for the zombies, so we're going to hopefully do that. We might stream tonight. Just depends on where we're going and how things go. We're pretty set up at the house. I'm building a changing table, and I got a lot of that stuff to do. But just bear with me kind of as we go into this new journey in life. First sermon video is coming out in February. I'm setting the date. I have it written. I have it ready to say. Just have to record it and edit it. But it is coming out in February. I don't know when. I'm just setting a hard date for. I don't want to set a hard date for me, but I am setting a soft date. February. Those things are coming. Promise you guys. Stay with me. Bear with me. Content's coming. 2026. Big up 2026. That's it. That's really all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you guys bear with me. I hope you guys are able to check out streams. If I can't get them working on YouTube, which for some reason they're not, www.twitch.tv/doitwith1523. That's where I stream most of the time. A lot of the Twitch streams do end up becoming VODs on YouTube, but who knows with just where I'm going to be. Again, join me as we go into the new year, as we go into this new journey. Continue to grow with your faith if you have it. I also am going to reiterate what I said in the last episode is I promise you, email is down in the description. If you need something, reach out. I can't promise I'm going to get to you right away. I can't promise that I can give you money or anything like that, but I can be an ear to listen to you, and I'm happy to listen to you. Somebody will listen, and if it needs to be me, I promise. I'm all ears. That's really all I got to say for this. My wife is about to be home. I just got a text saying she's turning the corner and I need to run downstairs and get ready for this last OB appointment. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. Do it with. Love God. Love Jesus. Don't be lasagna. Amen. I don't really know if that made any sense. There is one final little thing before I kind of end it up. I didn't really say it in the rebrand video, but I do want to say this is though we will be talking about my faith and I will be doing my sermons or my writings that I have been doing, I want to let you guys know that one, this content should be for everybody. That's kind of the goal. Whether you're Christian or not, whether you're whatever, like I hope that everybody can listen to this and understand and, come at it from a human level. I want to address the name change, Do It With, as well as the emblem and logo and all of that. You see it, where is it? Over here in the corner there, it does have a cross. And I want to say that is nothing more than a reminder to me of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And my goal is to be doing the things, walking with God. And just know that doesn't mean that the content is going to change. It just means that my priorities are changing. And by enhance, some of the content will change. The way that I go about things will change. But it isn't, I wanted to be clear. I'm not forcing it on you. I'm happy to have the conversation about Christianity and faith with you. As somebody who's only 2 years into my renewed faith, it is a constant reminder for me to do it with, not for you to do it with. I say do it with. Also, it's a great rebrand. Do it with me cooking. Like, that's such a great thing. Like, there's a lot of layers, but it is a reminder to me to do it with. And for those of you that do believe and are struggling, it is a reminder to you too as well. Is just do it with. Do it with. That's all you have to do. Walk with God in tandem. That's all I'm going to say about that. Love you guys. Peace out. Don't be lasagna.